What's up? Welcome to episode 147 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and I'm joined by a man who has disappointingly not touched a basketball for over 12 months. Woody V.
That's going to change pretty soon, brother. You know, coming back next year.
Still remember how to play? You still got handles and stuff? What's going on?
That's a lie. I have touched a basketball. I've got one here, right? So
okay, true.
maybe I haven't shot one.
Fair enough.
That's true.
Well, you'll have to come around my place and we'll get some shots in when you've got a bit of a break over Christmas and stuff like that. So looking forward to have you back there, mate. So
when's the first game?
So we've got a break over Christmas. I think it's like the second week of January or something. So start getting in shape. You know, I know you've lost a couple of kgs. You're on a good diet at the moment, so keep that up. Nice.
Ready.
All right, we're looking forward to chopping up today. Just before we get into it, just a reminder, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. Well, as always, Woods, I see we're doing some matching red jerseys today, but why don't you start off the show with who you're wearing today?
For sure.
So Woods is standing up rocking the old school champion number 5, Juwan Howard. It's a nice one there, Woods.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I knew you'd like that, being a big fan of his, but Juwan Antonio Howard is an American professional basketball coach and former player who is an assistant coach for the Brooklyn Nets of the National Basketball Association. He previously served as the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines men's team, which he played for himself in college. 51 years of age, born in Chicago, Illinois, standing at 6'9" tall, spent 91 to 94 years 1991 and 94 at Michigan before being selected as the 5th overall pick in the first round of the 1994 NBA draft. And as a career, he lasted 20 years in the league with Washington, Dallas, Denver, Orlando, Houston, Charlotte, Portland, and then Miami Heat. He then served as a coach for the Heat, as I mentioned earlier, from 2013 to 19, and Michigan from 2019 to 24. And at present, he's the assistant coach for the Brooklyn Nets. And his son, Jett Howard, has recently joined the NBA, and we're going to have a little talk about the Orlando Magic a bit later, and an opportunity may have arisen for his son. But talk to me about Juwan Howard. What kind of legacy has he left on the game of basketball, Robert?
Yeah, well, you know, like how massive a fan of the Fab Five I was. That was, you know, my college team growing up. You know, I've told the story about Jimmy King being my favorite player and the reason why I still wear 34 years later since he played, sort of thing. So, yeah, I love the way Juwan Howard went about it. Sort of think back fondly about those early years with Washington when he was playing on those teams there. And, 20-year career, right? I mean, that's definitely making a good legacy in basketball there. You mentioned all the teams he's played for. It's a shame it didn't quite totally work out as the head coach of Michigan. That was a sort of a big coup when they got him back there. But, yeah, it's good to see him back in the NBA now. He's definitely got a great mind. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, someone I've always enjoyed. I think I've got that same jersey sitting in the cupboard next to me there as well. Good to see a Bullets jersey as well. It's for those that sort of don't know that. Yeah, Washington Bullets. That was pre the Wizards name. I think they were made to give up that name, weren't they? It was like considered like a name that, you know, promoted violence and those sort of things like that. So, Juwan Howard, great player and someone that I've always enjoyed.
And just a quick word on these champion jerseys. I see all these TikTok videos coming up of jersey collectors with hundreds of jerseys, all, you know, over the last 10, 15 years. The real collectors have those sand nets. They have those old school champion jerseys, right? These are irreplaceable, and they're hard to find these days. So,
well, they're hard to keep in that condition. I found a lot of them, you get the cracking of the stuff there. That one looks like it's in pretty good shape there. There was some quality control issues with them. There was crazy, wacky sizes. Like you could get an extra large. It was smaller than a large, all sorts of things like that. So, yeah, for those that have got a good collection in good condition, they're gold, aren't they, those ones?
Absolutely.
Nice one. Well, I'm showing a player from a similar era, I guess, as well. Maybe a little bit sort of earlier than that, but I'm not sure if you know this one. It's one that I recently acquired. So
I do know.
It's a Mitchell and Ness Wood. So I know we both love those. I think you're probably winning the Mitchell and Ness count at the moment. I don't know
quite
a
few.
Lot of those. They're really nice jerseys, aren't they? So
love them. Yeah.
I'll stand up and show you this one.
Yep. And for our audience that can't see, Robbie's wearing the Bulls number 54 Horace Grant jersey, and it's signed. A signed Horace Grant jersey. How much did that set you back?
Well, you saw it was autographed, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like $100 or something. So like probably cheaper than what it would have been brand new, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
So you can always grab some good deals on some of these card collector pages. So shout out to the guy that hooked me up with that. And it's all certified, autographed, and everything else like that. I was going to pull out some goggles for the show to wear this one, Woods, but decided against it. So a little bit on the man that has become obviously well known for wearing those goggles and also winning championships. So played a few less seasons than John Howard, but still made it 17 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Clemson by the Bulls at pick 10 in the 1987 NBA draft. Of course, of note, Woods, this was a 7-round NBA draft. So for those that want to go through that on Wikipedia, there's hundreds of draft picks. It's quite funny looking down there sort of thing. I think Andre Moore might have been in that draft, former Brisbane Bullets player there. So he played with the Bulls, Magic, Sonic, and Lakers. So not a lot of teams there. He ended up going back with a couple of those teams at the end. And a number of accolades. 4-time champion, so 3 with the Bulls, and he got his 4th with the Lakers in 2001. He was a 1-time All-Star, so he's got that on the resume there. He was a 4-time All-Defensive Team, and also the identical brother, of course, of Harvey Grant. So Horace is 59, currently a special advisor for the Chicago Bulls, so still stayed associated with the Bulls. Little thing I saw here, Wood. So when Horace was asked why he wore his signature goggles, he said he originally wore them because he was legally blind. After receiving LASIK surgery, he continued wearing his goggles without the prescription in order to remain a positive influence. So kids who needed glasses thought it would think it was cool. So that was pretty cool because, look, it was hard. If you saw someone like that, it was a little bit of a nerdy thing. You don't see it now, do you? You think of your Kurt Rambis's, your Horace Grants, these are the guys back in the day that we grew up watching. There's not a lot. I can't think of any.
You got the Chicago Bulls center, man. The spectacle.
Not Bill Cartwright.
No, he's playing right now. Comes off the bench.
Yes, former Indiana Pacer. Yeah,
former Indiana Pacer, yeah.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith, exactly.
I a bit of Jalen Smith. So,
he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe guys like Horace that have paved the way for these people to actually sort of go and wear it, sort of thing there. So, what were your memories? I was thinking, did you go to that thing last year?
Man.
You got to hear him speak. So, yeah, give me some thoughts on Horace.
Interesting story. So, I went to the No Bull tour. The No Bull tour was Luke Longley, Scottie Pippen, and Horace Grant going around Australia telling stories. Surprisingly enough, Horace Grant and Luke played only that one season when Michael Jordan left for baseball, right? They didn't have a long time. Obviously, Horace Grant then went to Orlando, and you have that famous playoff series where, he beat Michael. Yeah. But funny story, Robbie. He said that those goggles that he wore sold for something ludicrous online. They were smelly, sweaty, and someone wanted to buy them online. That was the story he told, and they sold as a memorabilia, right? So
it's a pretty unique item to get. And how do you sort of remember his game? He was like crucial. I was having a look at him and Harvey Grant's stats compared to each other. So he was a lot bigger, considering they were identical twins. I think he was about 3 inches taller and maybe 40 pounds heavier. So Horace was a lot bigger there. Certainly had a bit of a longer career there and was a great defender and rebounder. But yeah, how do you actually remember his playing career there?
I remember him being really solid on that mid-range jumper as well, from about the elbow man or the baseline. I remember really liking his free throw technique as a kid, and I tried to copy it so I could shoot free throws like him, right? He wasn't a great free throw shooter, but I just felt his technique would work for me, right? And being young, I love the Bulls, man. Before the Hawks, I love the Bulls. So that first 3-peat team, man, like for me. He
used to throw down the odd solid dunk as well, didn't he, when you get a nice pass? I've got a champion Orlando Magic jersey in one of the cupboards as well, so I'm surprised I've never rocked that one before, so it ended up being this one. But yeah, thought it was nice to show this. And I've had a few of these autographed jerseys of late, so I'm loving that. Like a nice autographed jersey of Mitchell and Ness, of a guy that we loved, in the 90s there. So.
And Juwan Howard and Horace Grant overlapped and would have gone up against each other quite a few times during their careers. Yeah,
100%. All right, nice one. Well, I'll finish off this first segment with Card of the Week, Wood. So, as you remember last week, I sort of mentioned that I'd show another player that was on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. So I might quiz you a little bit. This one's probably a little bit harder than last week, Woods, but someone with a really good resume. Someone I'd call a bit of a forgotten superstar. So 75th anniversary. So he was a 2-time NBA champ with the Lakers in 82 and 85, which was towards the end of his career as a veteran. Early on in his career, though, he was a former MVP of the league in 1975 and a 5-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, and 3-time scoring champ. So I'm wondering if maybe the scoring scoring champ and the MVP might give you the vote. Look, it is going back a long way. We're talking, mid-70s before both of us were born there. The only other clue I'll give you, you had a cousin, I think it was a nephew or something that played in the league not that long ago. He's now playing in Japan, played with Golden State, if that's the clue there. But yeah, someone that was on those Lakers teams is a real savvy veteran.
Jeez, I'm having a blank here.
It's a hard one. No, fair enough. Well, today's card, it's a Panini Prism 2023-24 Bob McAdoo signature card. So isn't that another lovely looking card there, right? So Bob McAdoo, one of these signature cards that I've sort of acquired fairly recently there. So, yeah, it kind of surprised me. Look, I obviously knew he was a part of that 75th anniversary team, but reading that resume there, it's like, wow, you don't hear him mentioned a lot, do you?
Where's James Michael McAdoo these days?
So playing in Japan. So playing, probably alongside, some former NBL sort of talent there and stuff. He's still only 29, I think, as well. So, I think he's a cousin. Apparently, he calls Bob McAdoo uncle, but they're like a more distant sort of cousin there. But, pretty impressive resume, right? Getting the chips of the Lakers in those 80s, Showtime teams, but also before that, getting his time as an MVP and, Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, which was 5 years in a row, which is pretty cool. He was one of those players that actually left college early there. I think it was North Carolina off the top of my head, but he basically got the blessing of Dean Smith there. His family wanted him to stay and, play, and the coach was like, go and earn your money, go and join the NBA now. So it seemed like it was a good move. He won the MVP, I think he's either second or third.
You say 5-time scoring leader?
3-time scoring leader, 3-time scoring champion and MVP in 75. So only made the one All-NBA first team, which is in the year 75. He won MVP. But yeah, a bit of a trip down memory lane. Might keep these coming. So just another look. Really nice looking card too, isn't it?
I should have got Rick Barry last week. I was listening back to the episode and how did I not get that?
That's all good. It's putting you on the spot. But something I've found as well, I think I might have mentioned to you offline, these older guys have great signatures. Some of these younger ones, they're just doing initials. So it's just be like BM if it was a current sort of guy, but really nice looking, official sort of signature. So I'll keep that coming next week. I'll try and find some more. I've actually got a really good, really famous sort of guy that, rest in peace, that passed away not long ago. So maybe I might show that one. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, as always, we've got a lot to talk about, Woods. We'll start with NBL this week, right? So we've got a bit of NBA, of course, to talk about. But we'll start off with NBL. I nearly wore a Bryce Cotton jersey for the second week in a row after his heroics on the weekend. Maybe if the Wildcats had won both games, I would have done it. But it was an interesting round 11. I think we might have been a round ahead when we spoke last week. I think we spoke about round 12, and it's actually round 11. People knew what we were talking about. So anything stand out for you in this recent round? So, of course, the time of recording was Monday, the 9th of December. So the games just finished yesterday.
Well, let's start with the Brisbane Bullets. 2 outstanding victories on the weekend. Depleted Adelaide to start off with, and then beating Melbourne, putting 122 points on Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I think you look at that starting lineup, right? James Bateman, Keandre Cook, Mitch Norton, Casey Prather, and Tyrell Harrison. Okay,
let's talk about those 2 former Wildcats. Wood, how good were they in that game against Melbourne?
Man, the renaissance that Casey Prather is showing, right? Everyone was like, he's not the same player that he was, but he's found a way to be productive in this league. It's almost Casey Prather 2.0. He's rediscovered himself and playing a different game than he played with that athleticism in his 20s, right?
So you see him try and go for that dunk, by the way. It's like, oh man, he barely laid it in over the rim. But yeah, you're right. He's reinvented that game and he's still very relevant.
And Mitch Norton is just that glue guy that really fits together with that starting lineup. And I think Brisbane are doing some really good things here. They like playing together. We did a true or false a few weeks ago. Justin Schuller, is he the right man for the job? We said, let's wait. You said yes. I said, let's wait and see, right?
Yeah.
But he's starting to show, after having this team for a year and a bit, that they really want to play for him. So I'm really, really impressed with Brisbane. They're 6 and 7 now, I think. Yeah.
One thing that stood out for me with Brisbane Woods, they don't really rely on one player, do they? So you can sort of go and you've seen guys getting 50 points in a game. You've seen Casey Prather having big games. Mitch Norton, Rocco's had moments. Harrison, of course, is a good player there. But they're doing it not relying on one particular player. Obviously, Josh Bannon's a pretty big out from at the moment. He will be back eventually. But yeah, it's I think they're quite entertaining to watch as well, actually, which I'm enjoying there. And obviously, McDaniel as well was another player they would have been relying on this year.
Deng Adel, we spoke about him, right? If we get to get something out of him, right?
Three of their probably 6 or 7 best players currently aren't playing. So that shows you there is a bit of depth in that team. So, well, an early true or false, Woods. Brisbane will make the play-in.
True.
Yeah, I think they will, right? Because, I mean, you can probably put a line through Cairns.
Okay, let's talk about them. Now you mentioned
yeah.
Cairns, all right? Let's talk about them. Let's stay with the Queensland teams. Taron Armstrong looks amazing, right? He's healthy, and we're seeing the type of player that he is going to be. He's going to represent this country. He's got all the tools to be an NBA player, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to say that I think the whole Adam Ford Cairns relationship has run its course. I was thinking the other day, he's been there for 3-4 years now. I really want to know what happened last year. You know, him losing the locker room, Taj McCall and Pat Miller like not wanting to play for him after initially Taj being the head coach of the team during preseason. Like, there's a lot of questions unanswered, and it's a result.
That's really interesting you brought that up, because I was actually thinking about this last week. He seems to be one of those guys that always gets that golden pass. Like, if they're winning, it's Adam Ford doing it. If they're losing, the team's got injured, or they don't have the money that other teams. So it's interesting to hear you say that. And I think you might be onto something there as well, right? So maybe it has run its course. We see that with coaches, in all sports, really, right? The voice suddenly starts to not be heard as much there. So I think they've really underperformed this year. Look, lots of teams have had injuries, right? They've been pretty healthy the last couple of weeks, right? So, and they're still not looking great. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, like, it's time for a change. 3-4 years he's been there. 4 years, I think he's been there already, right?
At least 4, yeah.
Yeah, so I think now they need to look forward. So that's just an observation for me in terms of those Brisbane, those Queensland teams, right?
Yeah. Anything else stand out for you? New Zealand starting to maybe struggle a little bit. We thought they might drop. They've been, not that impressive in some of these games. Anything else stand out in the round?
Yeah, look, I mean, getting rid of Freddie Gillespie, I said it was a problem, and it has been, because as soon as he's left the team, it's coincided with New Zealand playing poorly. Whether it's just because of him, I'm not sure, but it's just the dynamic of having familiarity with those guys you're going to battle with. If one of them leaves, it's changing the dynamic. So that's there. Kings look a lot better. Nearly upset Melbourne recently, and then played a really good game against New Zealand this week, right? So, yeah.
They're back at home, and I think you're looking forward to see them again, right? Feels like they've had a couple of road games.
I'm going to be at the Gabba this weekend, but yeah, they'll be playing in Sydney this Saturday. Your Wildcats, man, talk to us about these record-breaking statistics. Your man Bryce Gordon's putting up, 148 points in 3 games?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, for those that are even that bad at maths, that's nearly 50 a game. Look, it would have been great if they could have got the win on Friday night against Illawarra. They felt like they had their chances there. I think losing Doolittle so early on didn't give them a chance to plan for that. Obviously, couldn't have had Withers in the team. Pinder, AWOL again and not playing, which is a bit of a concern. Not sure that.
What's going on? Illness. It said illness.
I'm not sure, honestly. I almost think they need to start afresh next year without Pinder. I think I've said that to you offline, and maybe that might surprise people hearing me say that. I was so excited when he came on board with Perth there, and a real marquee Aussie player to get on that team. But I just don't think it's really worked out, and they're showing without him. What I like in that Adelaide game, obviously the Illawarra was a big win for the Hawks, and we finally lost a home game. But to get that road win yesterday, both teams are playing undermanned. Adelaide were probably impacted a bit with Sunday on Sunday getting injured there, so not being able to guard Bryce. But really like some of the guys stepping up. Ben Henschel was huge in that last quarter. David Okwera had some really good minutes early on, which I thought was important. I was actually watching the game with my parents, and I said, this shows you've got to stay ready in this league, right? So you never know when you're going to get your opportunity. Guys like Dave Okwera, Hiram Harris is getting more minutes than he was earlier in the year, and Winley hitting some timely shots. So I think there's some good signs in that game without their two big guys in Doolittle and Pinder. So hopefully Doolittle's back soon. But honestly, Woods, Withers, every time he plays, I feel like he's pretty handy out there.
Well, he's a man who really wants this opportunity to make a name for himself and get a job in this league long term, and you can see that.
Is he the only import injury replacement of an NBL team?
They had the brother in New Zealand. Remember the brother of one of the imports? Remember that year they had...
Okay. It's an interesting one, right? It's a tough gig, right? I mean, he would have gone into the last round thinking he's not playing. Suddenly Doolittle gets injured, and guess what? You're playing against your former team there. So it's quite a good rule. I actually like it they can do that there. But I like what Perth do with him as well, where they put him on shorter guards, Woods. So you saw him playing a bit of time on Kendrick Davis, who we should say as well, Woods, Kendrick Davis was spectacular in that game against Perth yesterday. Kind of got forgotten a little bit about with the way Cotton played. But yeah, amazing 3-game stretch by Bryce Gordon. Just incredible, really.
Yep. So to answer your question, in 2023, the Breakers had the Brantley brothers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
But yeah, what a run he's on, right? 3
Yep.
games playing like this. Can't wait to see the next game. Obviously, Perth's on the road now, I think, for maybe 5 weeks. So no more of these 9:30 in Sydney Friday night games, which I've said before. I love watching those games. Perfect timing for me, end of the week, and sit and watch it. So not going to have any of those. Perth are travelling a bit now. But yeah, it was a promising weekend, even though they only went 1-1 then. All right, nice. Well, let's talk about this current round. So big round coming up, 7 games across 4 days. This is, of course, round 12. Maybe read through those games and we'll give some thoughts.
Yep. So Thursday night at 5:30, we've got the New Zealand Breakers versus Tassie Jack Jumpers.
Are you missing those old New Zealand commentators from the last few years, Woods, Casey Frank and all those guys? I'm hearing a lot of people say that. They're missing them.
Definitely.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Tassie will win this one. I think Tassie's looking a little bit better and New Zealand's starting to go the other way. So yeah, Tassie for me.
Yep, I agree. Brisbane versus SEM, Thursday night, 7:30.
A decent game, couldn't it? Yeah. I mean, look, you've got to somewhere say Brisbane are favourites at home in that one. But yeah, Southeast Melbourne, I mean, look at that run of form there. What's that? A couple in a row, 3 of their last 4. So yeah, Brisbane in a tight one for me.
Yep, I'll agree with that too. Melbourne versus Illawarra. This is probably the game of the round, right?
Yeah, cracking. That's a standalone Friday game, I think, isn't
it?
Yep,
so, it is. Yep.
Man, I mean, Melbourne don't lose 2 in a row, do they? We've seen that over the last couple of seasons. It doesn't happen. Maybe it happens this week. Maybe Illawarra win. They lose.
Yeah, gave up 122 on their home floor. Illawarra coming to town. I'm going to go Illawarra to take this one.
Nice. That'll be a good one. Looking forward to that.
All right, Adelaide, New Zealand. Before you give me your thoughts on this game, I want to talk to you about John Casey on the call yesterday. Did you hear him?
Of course, yeah.
No, well, he basically straight up said the way the NBL handled this whole situation with the Adelaide 36ers is deplorable. They've basically railroaded the whole Adelaide 36ers season.
Yeah.
Players were not treated fairly. Like both opposition, like the Melbourne team and the Adelaide team, were not treated fairly. And as a result, they have lost Montrezl Harrell, they've lost Kendrick Davis, and their whole season's been railroaded. They were coming 3rd or 4th, and now they're in 9th place. Those are his words. And he, in no uncertain terms, let the public know that he felt that the way the whole situation was handled was incorrect. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, firstly, I think he's kind of echoing what we said last week when we spoke about it. Interesting that he's, his forum, obviously we were, a couple of guys talking to a podcast. He's, commentating official NBL games. So I wonder if the NBL will be happy with him.
They wouldn't be. First thing I thought of was like, man, this guy's going to get a slap on the wrist, man, straight away from Larry.
Right? Listen to what Case says. This guy knows the NBL. He's been around for, commentating for so long now. And look, it's hard not to agree with what he said, right? I think it has. I think people will have their thoughts either way on this thing, but there's no doubt it was handled badly. And I don't know whether the season's necessarily over. Harold's back this week. DJ Vasiljevic is a pretty big out. Your boy Jarrell Martin Woods needs to drop a couple of kgs, I would have thought.
Definitely. He's been really disappointing. Yeah. Thank God for Kendrick Davis. He's the best player in the NBL at the moment, right?
Come on. Yeah. Second best.
Okay, second best.
Come on. Wash your mouth out with soap.
He's not the best player in the NBL. He's one of the best guards in the NBL at the moment, right?
Speaking of best guards in the NBL, Woods, before we continue this preview, did you see Olgun Ulwich's tweet today? I think I read it, basically saying that NBA teams are coming circling for Bryce Cotton. Now, I thought that was interesting because we know he did have contract offers a few years ago and he turned them down to stay in the NBL. So I know it feels like everyone wants to try and get Cotton out of Perth at the moment, whether it's rumours of Japan or China or NBA. But anyway,
your good friend Nathan Turser.
Yeah, well, he thinks he's gone, doesn't he? So I mean, look, it's interesting, debate and topic for this time of year. I personally think he's staying, but hopefully, he does. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but yeah, we'll watch what happens.
All right, so who you got? Adelaide, New Zealand.
Adelaide with Harold back, I think he'll be fired up, right? I think that could be a pretty big win at home for him.
Yep, for sure. Cairns and Perth, do we even need to talk about that one? Perth should win.
One thing I'll say, interesting with Cotton on this run, Cotton loves playing in
He loves
Cairns.
it.
I think it's one of his favourite places. He always kills it there. So he could just drop another quiet 40 on this game there. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Cairns need to start getting some wins on the board, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And as I said to you, if for nothing else, Adam Ford will want to win a few games before the end of this year, right? If he wants to keep that job. All right, we got the throwdown, Southeast Melbourne versus Melbourne on Sunday evening.
Yeah, I'd say Melbourne are a shoe-in for winning this one. Obviously, we've both picked Illawarra, I think, to beat them on the early game. So, yeah, Melbourne for me. Maybe a competitive game at Melbourne. That's a good.
Yep. And the Sydney Kings look really good against the Breakers, as good as I've seen them play all season. And I think
so you're missing this game to go and watch cricket.
I am, man.
Wow.
I am.
Couldn't think of anything more boring. But no, fair enough. Well, yeah, that could be a decent game with the way Brisbane's playing. But, yeah, I think Sydney at home should be too strong.
Yep, agreed.
Nice. Well, yeah, interesting to talk some NBL there. Looking forward to this big round coming up. Just want to see more Wildcats. When watching Cotton like this, Woods, it's so exciting watching the stuff he does there.
Sorry for saying that about Kendrick Davis.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. How good was that dunk tip in that Bryce had as well?
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's unreal. Two-handed as well.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some NBA, Woods. So a lot of stuff going on in the NBA at the moment. I've picked a couple of topics and a couple of teams I want to talk about. So I thought we'd talk about a couple of teams that are flying under the radar a little bit. And we'll start off this chat with the Houston Rockets, Woods. So they're currently 16-8 after a win over the Clippers today. Currently equal third in a tough Western Conference. These guys, Woods, every time I feel like I check the standings, they seem to be moving further and further ahead of that 500 record there. So thought this is pretty a good sign for them. They've got 7 players averaging more than 11 points per game. So how impressive have the Rockets been for you, and who's standing out to you from that team?
Firstly, it starts with Coach Udoka. He's been amazing, right? He has really got that team playing for him. And he's the defensive-minded principles that he's instilling in his team are showing. They're one of the best teams defensively in the league. And it starts with Dylan Brooks in the starting lineup, right? I mean, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's an all-world defender, right? And it starts with him. And then you want to really like, Robbie, you looked at the bench and you got Tari Eason, you got Amen Thompson. These guys are wreaking havoc. Amen Thompson is just flying everywhere, doing everything. Tari Eason's doing the same, right? And you put them around, your Jalen Green, you got your good mate Jabari Smith, who started to pick it up a little bit lately, and Fred VanVleet there, So and then they've got this like backup center situation where sometimes Landale plays, sometimes Adams plays, and they don't even finish games with Sengun all the time, Sometimes he's not playing in fourth quarters, right? So Udoka is very clear on what he needs to do. He coaches this team very well. He knows what combinations are going to work against which lineups, and they're all buying in, let's say.
Plus, they had the 3rd pick in the draft in Reed Shepherd, who a lot of people were picking for Rookie of the Year. It hasn't quite worked out, but as I mentioned, so much depth on that team, hard for him to get some pretty consistent minutes. So I think that's a good player for them to have there. Talk a little bit about Sengun there, Wood. So he's obviously been really good. I'd say he's, if they're going to have an all-star representative, and I think I might be spoiling that because I've got a question on that later, but he's a chance to make it, I would have thought. But yeah, how do you like his game? He seems to have just been another player that improves year by year.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just, he worries about the basics, the fundamentals, good positions to box out, make the right pass. He just plays the game the right way, right? And I think when you have those good habits, you're working on the fundamentals, then what you're doing at the top is just going to take care of itself. So you can tell he's honed his craft. The coaching staff's really worked with him to see that ascension over the last few years. And he just fits in perfectly on that team. So really impressed with him.
Udoka's someone you've been pretty high on over the years as well. I know you were a fan when he was with the Celtics. He's got to be a sneaky chance as Coach of the Year at this stage, right?
Absolutely. And like, since you've said, look, Houston's my league pass team, I've started watching quite a few Houston games myself, right? And I see Udoka on the sideline, and he doesn't care. If he says, Jabari Smith, you're playing 5 minutes tonight, right?
Yeah.
That's it. You're playing 5 minutes tonight.
Jalen Green as well, right? He can have a game where he puts up 40 points. The next game he scores 10, and they've won both of those games. So, I like that he's sort of, he's got players on a short leash there, a lot of depth, and you've got to sort of do that there. So, they are a fun team to watch, aren't they?
And everyone's cool with it. Yeah, today's not my night. Okay. Maybe it's your night, Jalen will say to Freddie, and so forth. So if you've got everyone buying in, then that's what leads to success for an organization. We're seeing that with Houston.
Good call. Well, another team that I want to talk about that's under the radar, it's almost a similar sort of team. They're an Eastern Conference team. So that's the Orlando Magic. So these guys have quietly moved to 3rd place in the East. They have the league's best home record, Woods. They're currently 10-0. The only team that hasn't lost a home game. They won again today against Phoenix. So this is definitely a team built for defense, right? They're really big across every position. I think Cole Anthony is probably the only undersized player that plays basically any of their positions there. Got a number of long defenders. They can guard multiple positions there. But we did have some bad news there. So we obviously know Paolo Banchero is out at the moment, but the wunderbar German forward, Franz Wagner. So basically the news came out yesterday that he's got a torn oblique. Crazy enough, this is the same injury that has kept star teammate Banchero out since October the 30th. Firstly, how good are they playing? But also, how big a blow is this with this news for Wagner?
Well, let's talk about the bad news first, right? A torn oblique is a very, very rare injury, right? And Banchero is out 6 to 8 weeks, which means we're going to get the same for Wagner here. So it's very unfortunate, right?
We're talking February, right? He might not be back till then.
Yep, two guys on the same team with that kind of injury doesn't heal that easily.
Crazy.
But why they're playing so good, you're right. They're very, very defensive minded. Much like Houston, you know, they hang their hat on that, right? And Jalen Suggs is a very, very good basketball player on both ends of the floor. And you talk about guys who we don't talk about much. No one ever mentions his name in any conversations for this or that, right? He's an all-world defender, right? Unreal. He made an all-defensive team last year. I'm sure he did.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he did. I think he made the second team last year. But yeah, you think about Jonathan Isaac being fit again, right? This guy, he can only play 17, 20 minutes, right? But he's giving you production in that time, you know.
What about Big Goga? He's playing some good basketball, isn't he?
Playing great, you know, and it's been that next man up mentality. Mr. Black, Anthony Black, right? He's been great, right? Tristan Da Silva. I don't know where they pulled this guy from. But these guys are just the next man stepping up, and that's the kind of environment that's been created there in Orlando. As you said about David Okwara getting his opportunity to play with Perth. A lot of these guys are in Orlando. You'd think that when Banchero went out, and you know you've got Wagner out, right?
Yeah.
You think they might lose a few games, but I don't know. You know, yeah.
Well, yeah, they won the game. Looked good today. You mentioned Jet Howard Wood, so you reckon he could maybe get some minutes? He's an interesting player, isn't he? He's very much a three-point shooter, a bit of a 3-and-D type player, but there's definitely some minutes for him now, right?
Yeah, with Wagner out, I think there's more playing time for Mortis Wagner. There's going to be more playing time for Black, potentially Jet Howard, and Cole Anthony. You mentioned who's not even in the rotation, right?
Yeah.
Look for these four guys. It's hard to say who's going to benefit most. You probably wouldn't add one of them as a fantasy pickup because on any given day, one of them might play. But I think those four guys will see an uptick in minutes. Yeah.
Fun fact for Orlando Woods, your boy KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So recently had a son that he also kept with the KCP thing. He called him Knowledge. So Knowledge, Caldwell-Pope.
Love it. Love it.
Maybe someone we see in the NBA in 20 years' time or something. But yeah, look, they're a fun team to watch as well. I reckon they're probably a team that people listening to this, like, you know what, maybe I haven't watched a lot of this Orlando team, especially. Like, probably watched Houston more than Orlando, but watch them, right? They've got some real good young talent there. Jalen Suggs is someone that I've enjoyed watching this year. And yeah, you never really know who's going to lead the team now. And this is going to be a tough time for him. We hope that Paolo's back soon. I hope he's back soon.
Gary Harris is out as well with an injury. So they've, these guys have played. Tristan Da Silva was starting, as I said earlier in the year. So it's fine.
And 10-0 at home. So I don't know what the secret is for them winning those games. The crowd was pretty good today. So yeah, I think it's some good effort there. So two teams we probably don't speak a lot about, but it was good to talk about the Rockets and the Magic today. So wanted to touch briefly on the NBA mid-season Cup Woods. So the quarterfinals for this start on Wednesday, our time. So the matchups of the two games on Wednesday, we've got Milwaukee against the team we just spoke about, Orlando, and we've got OKC playing Dallas. And then on Thursday, we've got our Hawks playing against New York. That's in New York. And then Houston, the other team we just spoke about, playing against Golden State. So it's a bit of a weird week of games this week in the NBA, isn't it? There's like one game tomorrow, 2 games Wednesday, 2 games Thursday. So a few of these teams not in the quarterfinals will be getting a break. But yeah, what are you looking forward to? Any of these matchups that stand out for you there?
Yeah, look, it's just this time of year, we need some excitement, right? And when you're having these 4 knockout games coming up, it's just going to add a little bit of buzz. And I followed it closely, right? And just looking forward to it.
Well, for us, it's 11 a.m. Thursday. We get to watch Hawks in a quarter final. It's kind of exciting, right? I know
for sure.
It doesn't mean lots of people whose teams aren't making that far, but we'll be cheering them on. It'd be great to see them, get to Vegas there. That will be a tough game against New York. We're not sure if Big Cat will be playing in that one. It's always tough to play at the Madison Square Garden, but looking forward to that one. Hawks had a bit of a decent weekend and then let down today, but I know you got a chance to watch some of that Lakers game, Hawks against Lakers on Saturday. How exciting was that?
That's awesome, man. And I think Trey, his assist rate at the moment is ridiculous, right? I'd like to see him be a bit more aggressive, but I mean, he hit that clutch shot against the
He hit some
Lakers.
big shots late, didn't he?
Yeah,
Jalen
yeah.
Johnson was a little bit down in that game. I think he's got an injury that he missed today. But, Daniels has had another big weekend. Like two-headed monster of Capella and Onyeka there. So, yeah, I mean, look, it was a loss to Denver today. A pretty disappointing game, if we were being honest in that one. But it's been good. They've won 5 in a row before that one. So some good signs.
Bit of a schedule loss today. You had a few guys out, you know.
Well, saying that Denver played yesterday, and, that overtime game against sorry, it wasn't overtime, a loss against Washington there, which is pretty crazy with Jordan Poole, talking a bit of trash and they finally beat a team that wasn't Atlanta. So that was Washington's 15-game winning streak broken. So they beat Denver.
15-game losing streak, you mean?
15-game losing streak, I mean, yeah. So, all right. Well, lastly, to finish off with this NBA chat, Woods, I wanted to ask you about some of the NBL next stars that are playing this season in the NBA. So we've got guys like Alex Sarr, AJ Johnson, Bobby Klintman, who hasn't yet made his debut, and Ariel Hukporti, and also Trenton Flowers, who made his debut last week for the Clippers, the undrafted player there. So, as I mentioned, Klintman's been injured. How would you rate guys like Sarr, AJ Johnson, and Hukporti so far? Give me some thoughts.
I don't think many of these guys are going to have storied careers in the NBA, right? Ariel Hukporti does all the X's and O's right. He's a rim runner. He's a lob threat. And a guy like that can survive as a backup big in this league for an extended time. The thing about Alex Sarr is he has got great defensive instincts, but someone needs to get in his head about his shot selection and showing better IQ on the floor, because he's a bit of a bonehead. He makes some really dumb decisions. I think that Washington team lacks veterans, right?
Yeah. Well, they didn't have him or Kuzma in that big win against Denver yesterday. The one that's probably concerning me, look, concerning is maybe the wrong word, given it's only a couple of months into the season, but AJ Johnson was drafted in the top 20 by Milwaukee. Obviously, you're going to a really good team. You're not going to play minutes straight away. Hasn't shown a lot to me the times that he has been on. He feels like he could be one of these, 1 year away from being 1 year away type guys. What's your thoughts on AJ Johnson?
My thoughts are, you remember Fran Fraschilla? I think he's the draft expert. When Bruno Caboclo was drafted, he said, Bruno's 2 years from being 2 years away.
Yeah, so
that's what I think about AJ, right? He's 2 years from being 2 years away. It's almost like a draft and stash option. So he's probably better off going to the G League or being sent overseas to develop his game a bit further and come back in 3-4 years. But it makes no sense when you could get that guy and you could sign him as a free agent.
Apparently wasn't on other teams' radar, so it was a strange pick. And as I mentioned, Trenton Flowers making his debut. I think he might have got eight or so points, for the Clippers. Harden's missed a couple of games, so good to see him getting an opportunity. I always forget he's 6'9" Woods, Trenton Flowers. He's huge. So
seems like a good kid willing to learn as well. So
we wonder whether he might eventually have a better career than AJ Johnson. Maybe that could be an interesting fun fact to look back on in a few years. It could be, right? So anyway, so as we mentioned, a bit of a strange week in the NBA this week, but support these mid-season Emirates Cup things. Should be some good games there.
Where's Klintman in Charlotte? Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
So he's been injured all season there. I believe he's close to coming back, but obviously that Detroit team, has got a bit of depth as well. So hopefully he can contribute there. I think he's a pretty solid player as well. So we'll watch that space there.
He has all the tools to be an NBA player. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, let's do a bit of true false, Wood. So I've got some NBA and NBL questions here. I'm going to grill you as I always do with these. So kind of teased this one earlier. So first question is, we spoke about the Rockets earlier, and Alperen Şengün is a lock to make the All-Star game.
False. Not a lock.
I'm going to say true. I think Houston's got the third best record, and that means they're guaranteed to get a player there. It's going to be him. So I'm going to say a lock. I haven't really looked at the other sort of big men in the West there with who's a chance. Guys like Chet being out, that someone that might have been in contention to make it. So if he doesn't, maybe someone like Big Zubac should make it. It might be between those two.
Zu's been amazing, man.
Been huge, right?
Yeah.
Well, on the Clippers, Norm Powell has been one of the surprises of the league this season.
True. Let me tell you something about Norm Powell. He's been in the league for 9-10 years now. He's averaged 12 points a game throughout his career, right? 9 years. He's averaging 24 points a game, shooting 50% from the field, 50% from the land of plenty. That's just ludicrous, man.
So
True.
Are you saying he's going to steal Jalen Johnson's most improved award this year? Or?
He could, man. Right? He really could. And I'll tell you what, the Clippers, no one looked at them as being a team that's going to make any noise this year. Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely. By the way, he's going to be back soon. By the sounds of things, he's going to be back. Yeah, but he's back at doing 5-on-5 drills now and stuff. So the point is they've been able to tread water without him. And then what are they at, 14-10 or 14-11? Something. They've played amazing. And a big part of that is Jimmy Harden, right? alongside Norm Powell, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And the coaching of Ty Lue. So they've been a real surprise packet this year. Not just Norm, but the
Yeah.
Clippers in general. I mean,
No, for sure.
and Kawhi comes back. Who knows what they could
Yeah.
do? Yeah.
All right, a couple of quick NBL ones. So Wildcats young gun Ben Henschel will be drafted in the NBA this year, possibly even late first round.
I can't say that would definitively. So he's not even on draft boards at the moment, right?
Well, apparently he's starting to move up. So you're saying a false to that?
I'm saying false.
I'm saying he's going to continue to move up. I reckon he might go late first round. I'm even going to
Late
say
first round.
Late first round. I'm going to even say something crazy, Woods. I'm going to say he may even end up being drafted higher than Alex Tui. Call me crazy, but hey, that's what true and false is for. It's for bold claims and everything like this, right? The two former COE teammates. So yeah, I think he's got a well-rounded game that could suit there if he continues to develop the way he is. So all right, so another NBL one. United should give CG43 an extended period of time to recover from his current calf issue to keep him fresh for the playoffs.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're on the top of the ladder, right?
Yeah.
They've got some breathing space.
Yeah.
No need to rush him back, right? You want him fit and firing for the business end of the season.
Yeah, it's an absolute truth for me. If they're saying 2 to 3 weeks, then make it 4 to 5 weeks. You know, keep him out an extra couple of weeks. Still have him practicing with the team. You're not like sitting him down and putting him on ice sort of thing. But yeah, he's played a lot of basketball this year. You know, he's played Australia commitments and that. So I think true, and I think that would be a good idea for the United to do that.
It'll give an opportunity for someone like Tanner Krebs to play a little bit more. So he's more rounded come playoff time as well if he's called upon. So yeah.
All right, and finally, we did tease this one earlier, Woods, but finally, Woody V will not play this season on our Thursday night basketball team. True or false?
False.
Ooh, so you're guaranteeing him to play. I just sort of thought, you've already taken the first half off, there'll be other commitments and you'll say no, but I'm glad to hear that false. So, yeah. Well, make sure you come around and we'll get some shots up, right? Because you're going to be rusty, but yeah, get that repetition, get some shots up, and looking forward to have you back. So,
you got it, man.
All right, well, I think we made pretty good time, Woods. So I think we definitely crush open another classic packs. Hey, speaking of classic packs, Woods, the man that started off the classic packs and a good friend of ours, Lee Ellis. Have you heard him doing press conferences at the Hawks game lately? So he's been in the press comments there. So I was chatting with Lee a few weeks ago. So maybe he's someone we can look at getting back on the show.
150th episode, maybe.
Love that. Maybe it's coming up quick, isn't it? Only 3 episodes away. So I'll have a chat to him. Yeah. What do you got this week?
I got the same Upper Decks 91, 92, right? The ones you like.
Nice. Yeah, love these ones. Did we get a hologram yet? We didn't, did we?
No, I didn't.
We got that Jerry West insert, which I thought was really
that was awesome.
That was really nice, that one, yeah. I never got a Jerry West insert when I collected these, so that was pretty cool.
Minnesota Timberwolves center.
Scott Roth.
No. I'm talking about our greatest ever.
Oh, Lucian James Longley. Nice. That's a cool card. Is that a rookie card? No, it's his second-year card, I believe.
No, it is rookie card.
It is a rookie card.
Yep.
So it's just showing New Mexico on the background.
Yep.
Look at that. You got the double pictures. You got the little hologram on the back. That's a nice pull.
How good are these All-Stars that I just keep pulling, man? These packs have been great.
Yeah.
I say one of the most, what's the word for it? He polarizes opinion, but an outstanding point guard of the 80s and 90s. His team went up against some of the most fierce battle against the Bulls until
like Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah
Lord Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. Doing that customary kiss that him and Magic used to do. So yeah, he's someone that almost gets slept on a little bit. He was great to watch back in the day.
Okay. I'm not talking about Anthony Mason. I'm talking about Nuggets guard Mark Mason.
Nice. Yeah, he was on those sort of high-scoring teams in the late 80s, early 90s,
yep.
I think. So I love those old jerseys.
Playing under Coach Doug Moe, actually.
Temple University?
Yep.
Is that where he went?
Yep. Playing under Coach Doug Moe, that
do
team.
I get extra points for pulling out a random player's college like that or not?
You do. You do. And that would have had Alex English playing with him a bit on that team.
Possibly.
The late 80s, highest point scorer in the 80s. Okay, West All-Star was part of that trade for Clyde Drexler.
Oh, Otis Thorpe. Another Otis Thorpe. We had an Otis Thorpe Norcard. Wow, I forgot he was an All-Star. And shout out to Lee Ellis. He'd love us pulling that one. Hey, if you got more of these packs, right, we're going to save one of these Upper Deck packs when we get the great man on there.
This guard from the Boston Celtics and Lakers guard had a really tough start to his career where he lost, I think, his parents or he lost his they were in a car accident. His parents on the way to watch him play his first game, I think. And
Oh, this sounds familiar. Brian Shaw?
Brian Shaw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian Shaw. Yeah. Nice. He was a solid player, wasn't he? I remember him teaming up with Shaq and having some good moments there.
Yeah, just let me
I think you're right. I think we've spoken about him before, and there's definitely like a tragic sort of thing like that, right?
yeah, there's a story about something that happened in his personal life that I remember being on June 26, 1993, both of Shaw's parents and his sister were killed in a car accident in Nevada. His sister's daughter survived the car crash, and Shaw, with the help from his aunt, helped raise her. So basically, they were on their way to watch him play his first NBA game, right? That's pretty awful, right?
But he sort of came out the other side of that and
Yep.
contributed so well.
Portland Trailblazers guard, man. When you think about Clyde Drexler's running mate, you always think of this bald head.
Number 30, Terry Porter.
Terry Porter, yes.
Nice. Someone that was in Australia, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
Perth, right? Yeah. For the Hoops Fest. Yeah.
All right, Duke, guard, 35, Cleveland Cavaliers. Worked with our Atlanta Hawks for a little while.
Danny Ferry.
Danny Ferry.
Wow. He looked like he was about 35 when he was about 20, didn't he, Danny Ferry? So yeah, he hasn't been back in the front office after some of those comments that he made and stuff, some racial sort of comments.
Legend, center, one of the greatest shot blockers of all time from Utah. This is the checklist card for Utah.
So another guy we had last week, right? Big Mark Eaton.
Yep. I'm not going to tear this up. It just looks
so
cool, beautiful. Yeah.
Does he kind of remind you of a bear, Woods?
Yep.
He does.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not talking about Damien. I'm talking about Vern.
Vern Fleming.
Vern Fleming.
Nice. Pacers guy. I love those uniforms back in the day. I'm thinking, Michael Williams, Reggie Miller, Mark Jackson.
Rifleman.
Yeah, the Rifleman, of course. The Davises.
Yep. Okay, we've got... Oh, yeah. It's a name I haven't heard in a while. Guard from the Miami Heat, number 21, went to DePaul.
Kevin Edwards.
Kevin Edwards. What a legend.
How am I going today?
Great. That was a good one.
Kevin Edwards is a good scorer, actually.
Yeah, great scorer. Trailblazers guard. I don't know much about him, but he was at the Supersonics before he went to the Trailblazers. Went to Wake Forest.
Danny Young?
Danny Young.
Well
done. Well done. And then the final one, 76ers forward, number 20. Went to Fresno State, Cavaliers, Pacers, and 76ers.
Graham?
Ron Anderson.
Oh, Ron Anderson. Yeah, geez, I probably wouldn't have finished off that one. That's pretty cool that Barkley's in that card too. But yeah, as we said it before, Woods, great set. Who are the standouts in that pack?
Okay, so we've got Mark Eaton. We've got...
We didn't get quite the names that we got last week. It was still a good pack.
Terry Porter, Brian Shaw, Otis Thorpe, Luke Longley, and Isaiah Thomas. Yeah.
Show us that Longley card one more time, Wood. So, Lucian Longley. So, it is his rookie card, is it right? Show me the back of that. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? That's a nice little card. So, that's just the New Mexico stats on the back, right?
Yep.
There's no Minnesota stats. So, it's a true rookie card.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that one, Woods. Well, we'll get to a bit of an outro now. We're coming up to that magic 48-minute mark that we like to stick to there. So, just a reminder, as we said at the start of the show, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be followed on X, Throwbacks Hoops, Instagram, throwback.hoops, and email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Patreon, as always, if you want to pledge a couple of dollars there, we'd really appreciate that to help us produce and bring this weekly podcast. Now, Woods, we won't spoil it, but we do have a special guest coming next week, I believe. Is that right?
We do. Former NBL player.
Former NBL player. I know a few people have said, look, we've missed a couple of guests. So we've got him. We've definitely got some names coming up, which will be the new year now. We'll probably have this special guest next week, and then I'd say we'll do one more show before Christmas and then maybe have a week off. We'll see how we go.
For the viewers mailbag thing we do every year, the 30-minute show, so you might do that.
To get some of them. So, look, I gave those addresses before, so if you've got any questions, send something through. But we've definitely got some guys, and I've teased it before. We've got an ex-NBA player, another NBL player take with that we will get on eventually. It's just been trying to sort of organise that time. But, it's been another fun show, Woods. Any closing thoughts as we sign off this week?
No, everyone just enjoy the week, and if you're finishing up work soon, enjoy the break. Yeah.
Nice one. Well, on behalf of Woods, it's a big throwback, big shout out from the Throwback Hoops crew. See you next week. Peace out.
Bye, guys. Cool.